Welcome back. Well, in my last installation regarding this Frankford Arsenal X-10 progressive press, I showed you the unboxing. Today we're going to mount this right to the bench. And this is a very, very sturdy bench. It's overbuilt. It's 2 levels of 2x4s, and the base, the top is mounted on 12-inch centers, so it's a very, very sturdy bench. Absolutely no rocking or wiggling whatsoever. And I recommend that for any loading bench, because you know you're applying leverage, which can easily buckle an inexpensive top. It doesn't have to be expensive. Just make sure that it's good and solid and it's well reinforced. I'm mounting it on. I'll bring the camera up closer. This is a top made of tempered masonite, and tempered masonite is a fabulous workbench product. But it by its nature, it's a paper product. It's been around for a long, long time, for many decades. It's very, very durable. It'll last for generations, but the top is made of a material that will fray if you use just any old drill on it. So I'll show you what I did. Let's bring the camera in closer. Now I've pre-drilled my holes. I'm going through quite a thickness of bench top here. There's 3/4 of an inch of high-grade plywood beneath this tempered masonite, and I'm going actually through the top to send the spent primers down through the tube. You can also bring it right out the front of the press into a bucket or whatever you want to do, but I've elected instead to go down through there's plenty of material here, so I've elected instead to go down through the bench, and I'll have a receptacle to dump my spent primers. Now, one thing I do recommend, the template this is a fantastic template. I hope it's coming into focus. Make sure that you fold it right directly along the front of this press. It must be mounted. It must be mounted flush with the edge of the bench. That's necessary so that the press handle will have clearance on this side. Now I used a Forstner bit. Let me see if I can show you what that is. I used a 3/8 of an inch Forstner bit, which is, with most sizes larger than this, you cannot control it with a hand drill. It requires a drill press. But this 3/8 inch Forstner bit fits these holes precisely in this cardboard, and that permitted me to precisely position these holes. And I only went down about 1/4 of an inch just to make sure that I had the hole started. This cuts a hole rather than shredding it. So it cut a nice hole in each of the starting positions. Then I finished it off with a standard 3/8 of an inch bit. You can use a spade bit for wood or whatever, or if you have a metal surface that you're going through, a regular machinist bit. But one most important thing is you do not need to have some sort of underlying steel or aluminum base beneath this, between the bench. I see that in some of the videos. If that's what you want to do, if you want to have some sort of a removable setup that you can use for some other positioning process, that's fine. But there's 6 holes here for a reason. This is not to be simply mounted to 6 holes to a piece of steel or a piece of aluminum that you then in turn put down with 2 wing nuts or 3 wing nuts. That doesn't make any sense to me. There's 6 holes for a reason. So anyway, whatever you do, you don't need to have a secondary mounting provision that costs you money. And while I already took the liberty of removing all these. There's 20 screws that I removed. These small screws right here, these hold this high-grade plastic. This is the stuff of which football helmets are made. This is not inexpensive material, and it fascinates me that Frankford Arsenal, I mean, I don't represent their product whatsoever. I mean, I'm a consumer like everybody else, and I don't work for them, and I don't collect any stipend from them. But I'm fascinated by the fact that they even bothered to install those. Most companies would just simply open these caverns, and whatever dust might fall on them or carbon from your cases and everything getting involved with the machinery, that would simply be standard procedure for so many companies. It's fascinating that they went to the extreme of installing those highly decorative and very. I mean, this is a you know, my old high school machine drawing, mechanical drawing teacher, Mr. Herrick. He was a designer for the Ordnance Department during World War II. He would have really chuckled about the amazing amount of detail work that these people have gone to fabricate each of those side panels. They're all different. I've got here various lengths of 3/8" bolts. That's what it calls for, 3/8" bolts, and nuts. They don't have to be torqued down heavily. This is it's going to stay in position. They just need to be tightened. They just need to be tightened firmly. That's all. And you need a 2.5 millimeter Allen wrench in order to remove those small screws that hold the side plates on. I have here this is the same 24 millimeter wrench that I used. I believe I used the SAE counterpart. So I've got the head pulled off of it, and I'm going to go ahead and mount this to the bench. I said when I was unboxing that I'd be reading these instructions, and I did. I read them through and through, and I got myself very familiar with how this is put together and what the different components do and how they how they're assembled. I really recommend that somebody take the time to read their owner's manual. I know that some people have, for some reason, an aversion to reading owner's manuals, but there's two ways to do things. You can do it my way, or you can do it the way the manufacturer desires for you to do it. And this way here, you don't put things together before they're supposed to be put together, which can lead you to backtracking and all these other things. And it certainly can avoid mechanical failures and issues later on. So take the time to read the instructions. They're actually, the drawings are very, very well drawn. They're very detailed. Again, Mr. Herrick would have loved this stuff. He would have given me an A if I could have drawn anything quite so precise as that. I did actually. I did get A's. But anyway, so let's put this together. First of all, I got a carriage bolt that's going to go up through the front here. And that went in just as slick as could be. I'll tighten them all down afterwards. I'm not even going to bother using washers. It's just not necessary. I'm doing it just by feel. Boy, those holes are precise, and they have to be, as you can see, it's imperative. They have the bolts have to go up from underneath, and the instructions are quite clear that you must use a bolt that is no thicker than 1 inch more than the thickness of your bench top, and I should say a minimum of 1 inch and no more than 1.5 inches thicker than the bench top thickness. So in this case here, I've got some bolts that I acquired from my reserve in my all the stuff that I saved through the years, so I don't have to go out and spend $1 a piece for these bolts. But I do have some that have to be shimmed up with washers, and I can do that very easily. Yeah, this is a by the time you get done, this is a 57-pound press before you even get the case collator on it. So you really don't need to have a an enormous number of, you don't have to put heavy torque to these bolts whatsoever. I mean, just finger tight, I'm sure would work very well. All I'm going to do is give them a snug with a wrench. There's not going to be any vibration with this to loosen things up, that's for sure. And then that's clacking about. Like I say, I do have to shim them. This back one, I don't think I need to shim because it's not going to strike anything. So I'm just going to go straight up with that one without it. I'll use one washer because it is a wooden surface underneath. And this is going really smoothly because that template, be as accurate as you can when you're using that template. That's vital. You're only as accurate as that template will provide. Now this one here, I think I need to shim up quite a bit. When I say shim it, I'm just using these washers, and those washers will provide thickness. This is the last one. And wow, that went very, very nicely. Thanks to that template. That's key. Now I just want to make sure I don't have any interference with that. There's no interference whatsoever with the cam, so I guess we're fine. All right, I'll just tighten those down quickly, and like I say, just moderate tightness is sufficient. I think you'd do this with wing nuts and it would be more than enough. I've been mounting presses for years with wing nuts, and they don't go anywhere. That's how I always mounted my. Let's see, is that going to have an interference? I don't think so. Let me just look. No, not at all. So again, I'll tighten these down. Just snug. Snug is more than sufficient. When you start working with the machinery up above, then there's torque settings, but for mounting it to the bench, that's entirely unnecessary. That's very tight. There we go. I'll just check this one more time. I don't think I tightened this one down at all. Wrong way. These ratchet box wrenches are great. I love them. They're very, very handy. So that's it. We're all in. Now I'll just attend to putting the side plates on, and that should go easily enough. It's a 2.5 millimeter driver. And if you use this type of driver here, you don't have to use a power driver. I really would avoid using a power driver because you don't want to be torquing these. You don't want to be setting them in so hard that you're going to crack that plastic. And this sort of driver is a lot faster than a Allen wrench, which is L-shaped, because you can twirl this. You can just spin them right in just like that. You can't do it much faster with a power driver, and this ensures that you're not overstressing that plastic or stripping those fine threads. These are very, very fine threads. So just snug. That's all. You don't even have to go. You don't even have to go snug. You're just attaching these. It's a pretty unit. It's got that crinkle or crackle. I don't know what they call it. Paint that they use on high quality machinery. Very nicely finished. It looks like the finish will last forever, and it's easy to clean. It's shiny, so that even though it's crinkled, it's shiny enough so that it will clean up. Now on this side here, on the drive side, there's actually a top and a bottom. I didn't take the top side off, the top side plate off yet. I believe that's taken off in order to, every time that you need to make adjustments to your pins, if you need to make adjustment to your priming pin and your swage pin, if you use your swaging tool. And if I didn't mention it in my previous video, what's really nice about this machine is I can get rid of my Dillon primer swager to somebody who might pay me for it, because that was a costly expenditure. That was over $100, well over $100 with shipping, and it's totally unnecessary with this particular press, because it's built in. It's a tremendous asset. Okay. Working upside down here. I've done that. I've worked upside down and behind my head and everything else, installing car radios, and back in the day when cars didn't come with much for radios, installing them underneath the dashboard where you needed to be really 2 feet tall in order to work efficiently. So this is nothing. Just be sure you don't cross thread anything. The screws go in very easily. If you feel any resistance whatsoever, stop. That's the admonishment I give for anything mechanical. Whenever you feel resistance, stop immediately, stop what you're doing, and check things out, because I watched a guy one day bashing away at his 1911 trying to get the slide stop out, and I'm screaming at my TV. Couldn't hear me, he's on YouTube, and then he pulls out some hammers and everything. All he had to do was pop out his magazine. The magazine was retaining that slide stop, and that's what the slide stop does. It interacts with the anyway. Don't get me going. Read the directions. Know what you're doing before you do it. Well, I'm sad to say that this last assembly right here for the day is going to bring us to a conclusion until I get my shelf plates. Now you need to have a 5mm Allen head for that, and that goes with this 30mm long cap screw. I'm going to have to wheedle that thing in there. Hopefully I can get it in. There we go. I think I've already got it. Trying to get that assembled is sometimes trying to find a hole that's within a hole isn't the easiest thing to do, especially when you're working with fine machine threads. But it went right in there, no problem at all. I would say that whatever torque you can reasonably apply with your fist, just that's all there is to it. Don't be using any heavy-handed wrenches on that. It's totally unnecessary. That's only a retention pin. It's acting the same. It's doing the same function that a cotter pin would do. So there's no stress on that whatsoever. All stress is being borne by the actual shaft. Well, although I don't have the shell holder to mount to complete this process, I'm going to put the die head back on, This needs to be lowered on very carefully. If you notice this, there's this cam actuator right here. This needs to be guided straight down into this area right here. So don't be brutal about this. It lowers down onto that stainless steel shaft. When it's in the upright position, very carefully lower it down, and install the cap screw. I'm not going to torque this down. I just want to wrench it down to make sure that it's already all the way in place, which you can see how it dropped down more. That's sufficient. So let's see how this works. That is smooth. That is smooth. I mean, there's no mechanical interaction whatsoever here. This is, you feel nothing except the handle just going up and down. Look at that. It just glides. This is truly a fingertip operation, even from down here, without even using the leverage. My baby finger is able to move that thing so smooth. I don't feel any gears clunking, nothing. I can't stop using the word impressive. It's very impressive. They've done a nice job. And again, I don't represent the company at all, and I don't normally go about waving flags for any company, but this is really something. I'm impressed. So thanks to my Patreon donors who are able to bring this to everybody, my appreciation. And whatever you do, give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Do that right now, and subscribe to my channel and hit the bell. I really would appreciate it. Thanks for watching. God bless.